Hi, this is Dr. Jim Fazone. I'm here with Gary Mattia, and you are in the principal's office.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Fazone, principal of the Mercer County Technical School SIPEC Center. I'm here with Nick Sikowski, and he's our producer and director. We have Gary Mattia on another assignment today. And remember, he's the principal over at the Assipink Center. We have as our special guest today, language arts teacher from the Assipink Center, Rachel Hendrickson. Rachel, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. I feel like I'm on Good Morning America. I've been teaching English at the Health Science Academy for 11 years. I really enjoy working with our students, and it's nice to work in such a diverse community.
Okay, so this is one thing we're talking about. I guess you talk about a lot of books and poems, items in literature, authors, probably quotes from some of those folks. This is Black History Month. Is there anything you're doing special for Black History Month in the area of language arts and reading?
Yes, absolutely. So the English classroom is a really great place to showcase all of these African-American authors. So what we're doing is we're participating in the African-American Read-In, which is actually the oldest effort to incorporate literature into Black History Month. So Mr. Lewis, one of the other English teachers, and I surveyed staff and students to see what kinds of book suggestions they would have for a campus-wide book list. And we got some fantastic suggestions. We got everything from science fiction to comic books to memoirs, and we distributed that amongst the whole staff. So it's really exciting. I have a lot to read now to see all of those great suggestions from everybody.
So tell us some of your favorite books that you came across and favorite authors as you conducted your literature review.
So some of the suggestions that I had put onto the list, I'm a really big fan of James McBride's The Color of Water, which is a Black man's tribute to his white mother, is the subtitle on that. I also included Cane River by Lolita Tatamy, which is traces the story of 8 generations of women from slavery back down to the more modern era, the more current era, I should say. And of course, we have to include the poetry of Maya Angelou, because it is timeless and not only speaks to the importance of women's issues, but also, of course, the importance of African-American women's issues.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes, we discussed this from all time, was from Maya Angelou, right? And it's, people will not remember what you say, people will not remember what you do, but people will remember how you make them feel. I just thought that was a great quote from Maya Angelou. What are some of your favorite books that is there a favorite book? Let's say a book that if I said pick one, tell us a little bit about that book and why you like it so much.
Oh my gosh, you never ask an English teacher to pick a favorite book. I definitely think that probably one of my favorites on the list is Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. She talks a lot about her overcoming adversity as a child and how all of these different struggles that she had to encounter made her into the really strong woman that she ended up being. And of course, a very famous poet and writer and activist.
Okay. I remember we're talking about, you said poetry, and Amanda Gorman had a great poem. I was just as riveted as everybody else was. I did watch that live. And I remember Dr. Jill Biden was shaking the president, saying, look how good she's doing. I think that's what she was saying anyway, but it appeared that she seemed very interested. What did you think of that poem?
Oh, I thought
what is that? The Hill We Climb, I believe, was it?
The Hill We Climb, yes. So she was the 2017 Youth Poet Laureate, and I believe Dr. Jill Biden hand-selected her for the inauguration. And she's going to be the first poet to perform at a Super Bowl, which I think is amazing. And I think that she's kind of reinvigorated students' interests in poetry. So every class we've been opening with a poem from a different African-American poet. And it's really exciting to see a young poet inspiring students because I'm not sure that I've seen that in my career as an English teacher yet. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, I was an old health and physical education guy and a football coach. And I just think we've come a long way when we were at the Super Bowl and we say, and now it's time for some poetry. I just think that's that says a lot about where we are right now. When you mentioned comic books, and I was a big comic book fan when I was younger, and I actually they used to have letters to the editor for Marvel, and when I was a freshman in high school, I wrote a letter, and Stan Lee wrote back, said, Jim, Stan Lee said, keep up the great work. He talked about, which I was excited. I never really sent in another letter. I probably should have. He said to. But what I did recall hearing in an interview with him when he was talking about the Black Panther and how he wanted to have the Black Panther be a character that was interesting. And, most of his characters were from New York. They were from the Manhattan and, Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, Delancey Street, whatever. But he said, I wanted him to come from his culture and, another culture that was interesting and a secret place over in Africa. And I just thought that was a kind of a nice way. I mean, we finally see these things in the movies, but what we do forget is that Stan Lee, I guess, was an author like everybody else who came up with an idea that just seemed to be popular right now.
Right. And then Ta-Nehisi Coates ended up doing a run with Black Panther. And right now he's very popular. And it was, I think, fantastic to have an African-American author writing in that comic book run.
Awesome. So what other activities do you have planned for this marking period? Anything else with the students?
I do. I have a student who wrote her own poem for Black History Month, and she's going to be presenting her poem and doing a little poetry talk on that. So I'm excited to see that. Do you have any favorite poems? I hate to be asking you your favorites because that means that everything else comes in second place, and that's really not what I'm trying to say. But something that jumps out. Are there any poems that you really like that jump off the page at you? There are. To go back to Maya Angelou again, Phenomenal Woman is probably one of my favorite poems, again, because she's really just celebrating women as well. So if you haven't read that one, it's a really great tribute to just the power that women have. And that will definitely be one of our poems to open class with as well during this month.
Way back when I had done my dissertation on pleasure reading in the middle school. And one of my quotes was, children like to read as long as they can read what they like. And I think one of the things that we want to do is make sure that children have a lot of books available to them that they can read, interesting titles. They see adults read. They hear us talking about books. They can talk to each other. Book ownership is also another motivational factor, and being read to aloud. There is research that even college students will have improved student achievement if they're read to aloud. I don't want to get too deep into research and whatever, because that kind of gets boring. But certainly the reading, the titles, all those things are exciting from your class. What do you look forward to this month that you just can't wait to? Okay, I want to really do this. I want to get started on this.
I'm just excited to see which books the students themselves decide that they're going to choose. I plan to continue to survey them and see which books from the list they pick. I think that I love what you're saying about them reading what they want to read, because I think that kids are taught that literature can only be like the great American novel. They don't think about things like comic books and graphic novels, because it is text. There's so many different kinds of text. And you're so right when you say that we need to encourage them to read what they're interested in. So I'm always interested to see what they want to read and then try to incorporate that in the class as much as possible.
Yeah, and you raise another point that I came across about reading, and it said children should be able to read the way adults read. And how do we as adults read? We hear a book from our friend, we're maybe a discussion like we're having a book club, or we go to Barnes and Noble, we pick one off the shelf, we read it. Well, maybe I like it, maybe I don't. You put it back, and be able to choose. We're able to choose. What we want to try to stay away from, I think, is what we've heard in the past, where we take a book, we jam it down, we make sure the student has to read it, and then we ask them to come up with some word list, and then we give them a test on the book.
Yes.
And then we put the grade on the test. If we had to read as adults like that, if we had to have a word list and they gave us a grade and they told our neighbors what the grade was, I don't think any of us would want to read. So children should be able to read the way adults read. I think you raise a good point there. So anything else you want to tell us before we wrap it up?
No, but we are going to, I believe, put a link to one of Amanda Gorman's poems in the link in the bio, I guess. She's going to be reciting The Miracle of Morning, which was a tribute to essential workers, and also gives us kind of a message of hope because she wrote it in the early days of the pandemic. So I'm hoping we're going to get a lot more really great poetry from her soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to poetry at the Super Bowl. Before we talk about the game, and I watched Super Bowl I on television when I was a kid. So I'll tell you how old I am. So we're looking for we're looking for the game, the excitement, the teams, bios about the quarterbacks, the commercials, the halftime show. This year, we're looking forward to poetry. I think that tied right in with our topic today. Our guest today was Rachel Hendrickson. Once again, she's a teacher over at the Assapink Center, Language Arts, and she's got some great, exciting activities planned for her students for Black History Month and for the rest of the year. Rachel, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll have you back again. So for all of us, for Gary Mattia, for Nick Sikowski, for myself, I'm Dr. Jim Fazone, and we will see you next week in the principal's office. Bye-bye.